Hi, everybody. Welcome to those who've joined so far. We've hit 11 o'clock, Jess, so should we just get things underway and we can admit people as they come along?
Yep, sounds good. So kia ora, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third webinar in the Eagle webinar series for 2024. Today's webinar is all about ArcGIS for everyone. As a quick introduction, my name is Jess Burrell. I'm a technical support and licensing analyst here at Eagle Technology, and I am based in Auckland, where I've been working for just over about 4 years now. I'm joined today by my colleague, Roland. Roland, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Kia ora, everybody. I'm Roland Pulmana. I'm a GIS account manager with the Business Development Unit at Eagle Technology. Been with Eagle for just a little over 12 months now. Started in February last year. And my focus is around the non-profit community in New Zealand and also a strong focus in iwi and conservation groups.
Awesome. So we'll just give a brief overview of today's topics. If I can get you to go to the next slide, please, Roland.
Yep.
Awesome, thank you. So we'll be discussing GIS for everyone today and breaking it down into some key focus areas, which are fairly common questions that myself or Roland might get with this topic. So for part one, we'll be looking at what non-profit licensing actually means and if it's something your organisation might qualify for. In part two, we'll look at the common uses of the non-profit software as well as what groups are utilising it within New Zealand. And for part three, we'll discuss the licensing that's available, how it's different to some other licensing options, plus what your licensing actually gives you access to. And then for part four, we'll just be discussing some more of those admin focused questions to get started, such as how long does it take, the setup, as well as where can you purchase this licensing. We'll follow that up then with some helpful resources about GIS for everyone, non-profit, and then we want to hear from you in our live Q&A section at the end.
Just going to admit some more people into our time to mention about the recording, Jess.
Yes, so how to ask questions. So you'll find the question panel in the right-hand side of your screen. So please feel free to ask any questions throughout the webinar, and we'll do our best to address these at the end of the webinar in the Q&A section. And if we can't address your questions for whatever reason, we will still endeavour to get an answer to you after the webinar, or you can feel free to email Roland or myself directly to ask some extra questions. But now I'll just pass on to Roland, who can start discussing what non-profit actually is.
So there's certain rules around non-profits legally if you want to become a non-profit, if you want to take advantage of tax. I'm not going to talk about the legal requirements of non-profits in New Zealand today, but what I will discuss is how we treat organisations with non-profit licensing from Esri as the Esri distributor in New Zealand. And so what does a non-profit actually mean? A not-for-profit organisation is a society, association or organisation that does not function for the profit or gain of any of its members, whether those are board members or so on, and does not allow money, property or any other benefits to be distributed to any of its members. So you can be a large organisation that is non-profit, charitable trusts are registered as non-profits, or you can be an organisation that's a small organisation. We're not judging you legally on your status. It is quite simply around a not-for-profit it's an organisation that cannot make a profit. Only profit used is for the purpose of the organisation was set up for. So there's no hard and fast rules. We have large non-profit organisations in the non-profit program, and we have very small organisations, sometimes as small as 2 people, but they have formed an entity, and we promote. Come and have a conversation with us and tell us what you're about. If you have a charter, some businesses are registered as non-profits, or not really businesses, but they're registered as charities, so their acceptance is automatic. But we promote, come and have a discussion with us. Let's talk about your status and what your organisation is set up to do, and we can move forward with allowing you into the non-profit program. Just need to click on the next screen. Use cases. Right, let's talk about who's using non-profit software in New Zealand. Now, I could have put a whole lot of names up on the slide, but I'd need permission from all those organisations. Right now, we've got a mix of conservation projects, iwi and hapu groups, historical research organisations, catchment management groups. We've seen a growth in those over the last few years, health organisations, community recreation groups, and environmental groups. And they can be large and small. We have, for example, I'm based in Gisborne here. The local Tairāwhiti Environment Centre has ArcGIS licensing and uses that to support some of the groups that they're working with. Community recreation groups like the Rotorua Trails Trust, so the mountain biking people. We have other health organisations. The Cancer Society are doing some great work with non-profit licensing. So we've been able to enable them through the non-profit program to do some fantastic work. Local catchment management groups in Hawke's Bay and Gisborne, just about in every district throughout the country, there's a catchment management group, which is a collection of people who are trying to do good in their catchments. Historical research groups, iwi and hapus, a lot of iwi and hapu groups now taking advantage of the non-profit status if they're registered as a charitable trust to use ArcGIS in everything they're doing. And then large and small conservation projects from the South Island Kōkako Trust through to local project I'm doing some work with right now, the Raukumura Paimanga project, which is a joint iwi and government project, but being managed by two iwi. So there's a ton of people using ArcGIS. And right now we've got over 150 different organisations in Aotearoa, New Zealand, taking advantage of the non-profit program on offer from Esri. What's the most common use? What are all these guys doing with it? They're doing probably what a lot of you are doing. So they're taking advantage of ArcGIS Online. Smaller non-profit groups tend to have not the funding or the ability to invest in infrastructure. So we see a lot of use of ArcGIS Online. So using software as a service, taking advantage of web maps and web apps, and a big push around field mobility and taking advantage of things like Servo 123, quick capture and field maps, especially in the conservation space. So with mobilizing people out in the field and being able to do that through the non-profit program. And then recently we've seen a real big push for the non-profit program telling their stories about what they're doing. So some of those conservation organizations, health organizations using story maps to actually share their work and promoting advocacy for themselves, which has been really, really exciting. And we hope to see a lot of the non-profit story maps in our story map competition later this year. Licensing. I'm going to ask Jess to talk us a bit through licensing. Jess, you're on mute. Sorry.
Yep, good catch there. Thank you for that, Roland. Yeah, so I'll do a bit of a quick overview of the non-profit licensing available. If we can go to that next screen. Cool. So quite often we get asked what are the types of licensing that is included with your non-profit program. So with the non-profit licensing program, you'll have access to most of the available software for your cloud, mobile, and desktop devices at a very heavily discounted rate. This means you have all the same functionality or most of the same functionality as our other customers without jeopardizing that often precious and minimal funding that you probably have access to. Roland, do you maybe want to comment on the discount potentially available for this licensing?
Yeah, I don't want to mention dollar values, but and I'll also comment on the wide range of products. Not every product available from Esri is available inside the non-profit program. The bulk of them are, but there are some smaller products from Esri that are not available inside the non-profit program in New Zealand. The discount can range from anywhere from at times 75%. So you get a 75% discount compared to a commercial license, down to as low as usually 30% is the lowest discount you will get. So there's a broad range depending on the type of product and its intended use. That discount can vary anywhere from 75 to 30%. So a 75% discount is quite amazing, and we're very, very lucky that Esri support that.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Thank you for that, Roland. So as Roland kind of noted, you can purchase most of the ArcGIS Online user types that are available, such as creators and GIS professionals, for all of your cloud-based functionality. But alternatively, if you want a more localized licensing setup or software access, you do also have access to, got a new person there, to our ArcGIS enterprise licensing range within your non-profit program. But again, this will be to discuss with Roland or whoever's setting you up.
Yep.
So
Exactly. And that's a really good point, Jess. The enterprise program. So if whether you want to take advantage of software as a service and cloud infrastructure, or whether you want your own infrastructure, the enterprise licensing is included in the non-profit program.
Yeah, awesome. So another question we get quite often is about personal use licensing, single use licensing versus that non-profit licensing and what the real difference is. So personal use licensing, this is designed for users who want access to the ArcGIS platform for non-commercial reasons. And this is a single organization setup. So there's only one member can be part of that organization. So this is ideal for users who are wanting more at-home kind of style access to brush up on their GIS skills, as well as develop their relevant skills they might already have. But again, the key here is it's non-commercial usage. Same with student use. It's very similar, if not the same as personal use, but it's catered specifically for students enrolled in higher education to aid with their spatial upskilling. So non-profit licensing, as we've mentioned a few times now, is more specifically for our non-profit customers undertaking commercial and non-commercial work. So this, you can also have a bigger range of people within your organization rather than that singular one person that the personal use and single use is limited to. But again, that difference is that commercial aspect. I don't know if Roland, you want to add anything there?
Yeah, it's really clear that a personal use license is a one person. It's got the same functionality as other organizational accounts, but there is only one person. You can't add extra creator licenses. You can't add viewer licenses to it. It is designed for a single person for non-commercial use. And I guess the differentiation between students, we know what a student is. Personal use is, it could be someone, a professional who wants to upskill and just have hands-on at home or hands-on available anywhere. That's quite different to the non-profit program, where we can have an organization of one person, and we do have non-profit customers where there's only one person. But the distinction is they can grow that organization. So if they want to over time, they can add viewers, they can add GIS professionals, or they can add other creator licenses into their non-profit organization. So it is we have seen personal use licenses and people thinking like, I want to have somebody else on my personal use program. It's not enabled to do that. It is designed solely for a single person.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that, Roland. So yeah, pretty much dittoing what Roland said. It's that key is just it's used for upskilling, those personal use and student use licensing, more than it is for anything else. So we quite often have organizations who have their own licensing, but some of their workers might get themselves a personal use license and do that kind of work in the background, not personal or commercial, not commercial use, but personal use, just to maybe upskill in a few areas they might find lacking in their day to day.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of organisations where they have certain tasks to do inside their organisation, but they have a hobby that they work on, whether that's mountain biking or something. So they want to make their own mountain bike maps at home, and they purchase a personal use license for doing that stuff. That's not their core role in a day to day. So we see personal use licenses with highly skilled GIS professionals, right through to that person who just wants to get their head around how does ArcGIS work.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Thank you for that, Roland. So this is another question we quite often get is, so if you're new to GIS, does your nonprofit licensing offer any support or training? So with the nonprofit licensing program, you do gain access to e-learning through our Esri Academy site. Now, Esri Academy hosts a very large range of training courses and materials that suit pretty much any skill level, anywhere from getting started, very basic courses, up to some more advanced ones, which some aren't included. So just note that when looking into your licensing, but a very broad range of courses are included with this nonprofit program. With that same nonprofit status, you can also access our instructor-led courses at a discounted price where spaces are available. That's the key to that one. I don't know if you want to add something to that one there, Roland.
The discount, so it's a 50% discount on instructor-led training for those that are registered non-profit clients with us at Eagle and Esri. There is a 50% discount. But the caveat being when we have space available inside those courses, and our training team does not run instructor-led courses all the time. There is some structure to when they are delivered, and it's usually based on the demand for the course. But if you are a non-profit and you're one of our non-profit clients, you are eligible for a 50% discount on instructor-led training. And just to add that e-learning stuff, if you visit the Esri Academy, there is a lot of training there that's free. and it's free to everybody. But what the licensing gives you is access to that academy under your named user. So there's plenty of stuff to get started for free, and then there's more detailed, as much detailed training as you want. And there's actually pathways inside the academy that you can follow if you have a goal in mind for what you want to achieve with your learning. There's learning pathways available there.
Yeah, awesome. So they've got those lesson plans, which are really, really helpful, especially if you want to look towards certifications as well. There's, as Roland mentioned, some really good pathways for learning. And the kind of last portion there is about support. So quite often we get asked what kind of support can be provided with this nonprofit program. So there's a wide range of support documentation and instructionals that are available online and are freely accessible to anyone. These don't necessarily restrict you to having a license already. And this is good for customers who kind of might be running into some general little errors, want to quickly work out what's happening, and you can get it sorted because there's a massive plethora of information all posted through different Esri support pages, blog posts, quite a few resources that I'll mention in a little bit. But we also have our Eagle-based support team. So we're available during normal standard business hours, as well as our hot desk is available for some more extended hours for support through both our email and phone number. So you can call or email this team, which I might be on the receiving end of, as well as a few other customers. But will help to get you sorted in whatever way possible, whether that's going to Esri for a bit of information or giving you a bit of direct help just to see what's going on.
I'll just add to that, Jess, and if you're unsure about that, whether or not your issue or problem that you're facing is worthy of calling the support team, because it's a big step to reach out and ask for support, reach out to your Eagle Technology Account Manager. So if you're a non-profit client, send me an email. And it might be something with my skill level that I can help you with. But if not, ask for guidance and I can confirm whether or not you should raise it with support. But don't feel you need to sit back. Don't ever question if you're having issues. We're here to help. That's what support is all about.
Yeah, awesome. I think we're passing back to you now, Roland.
Cool. Getting started. And I have this conversation a lot. How do I get started? I'm a non-profit. We have a conversation. What do we actually do? What's the process look like? And we get lots of questions around how long will it take to actually get software in my hands, on my PC, on my laptop, or access to ArcGIS Online. So let's go through that a little bit. How long does the process take to access non-profit licensing? So the standard process is hopefully we've had a conversation. Come and have a conversation with me, email me, and I can arrange whether we have a phone call or a Teams meeting to discuss your organization and your organizational needs. And I can make some recommendations based on what your needs are. But the standard process is we need to establish you as an Eagle Technology Limited customer. So and establish you as an Esri customer. So there is some forms. There's a little bit of paperwork. We'll have an account application form that I'll email you that will get set up. And a lot of the time we need that stuff so that we can provide things like formal quotes from Esri for desired products, and that we can actually order products on your behalf because you exist in our system. And of course, we need that paperwork to lodge you in our system so that we can invoice you afterwards and maintain you as a client, and we keep contact with you so we can offer that ongoing support. And if you're having no problems in that, it's still maybe in 12 months' time, I'll just touch base and flick you an email and say, how are things going? And is everything working all right? So that's the standard process. That's usually measured in days. It doesn't take weeks. It could be one, maybe five days would be an extreme. So long as we can get the application details and the details that we need, which will be contact with your finance division if for invoicing and so on, and for supplying quotes, who the primary contact is in your organization, 1 to 5 days maximum. So it's measured in days. It's not weeks. It doesn't take a long time to get started. And after that, we've probably ordered your products and delivered them to you via email. The other process that we now have, and it's a new process, and we only established it last year, and that is access our New Zealand-based Esri online store. And you can go there simply, choose the products that you want that we've made available inside the store, add it to a shopping cart, check out with a credit or debit card. And if you're an existing customer that wants to just add a new creator license to my organization, really simple. Sign in with your existing AGOL details, enter your credit or debit card details, and the software is delivered almost immediately. You'll see it activated. If you want to purchase things like credits for your ArcGIS Online account, you can do that through our online store. And if you're a new organization that wants to access the non-profit store, you can do it the same way. There's a link. You can go to the non-profit store and just create a new AGOL credentials as you're setting that up. And that process is measured in minutes. You can do it anywhere from 10 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on whether or not you're setting up a new account or not. But it is amazing now that we have access to an online store. Whoops, sorry, I jumped ahead. But yeah, the difference between maybe a couple of days to maybe a few minutes of your time. I will warn everybody though, their standard Esri store is available, so we can have certain products like personal use and student use are available there, and the ability to buy credits for your organization. The non-profit store, we don't advertise that link openly. That's through a conversation. If you're an existing non-profit customer, give me a yell, send me an email, and I can send you a link to access that store. Resources, Jess. What's available for everybody?
Lots. So yeah, so with whether you're non-profit, student, single use, anything, you have a plethora of resources that become available to you, especially with once you've got your named user licensing set up as well. There's a lot more stuff becomes more freely accessible. So some really key ones I wanted to bring your attention to are sites such as our ArcGIS blogs. These are daily, weekly, monthly, constant updates to all of our different software products, from a mix of what's new in the software, how people are using it, some cool use cases as well we get quite often. It's a really good place to keep up to date with what's happening, maybe with specific software you use, or there might be an organization you're really interested in what they're doing. All of these kind of things get posted quite often with this blog site, and it gives you really good up-to-date information about what's going on with ArcGIS, with Esri, with the software, with the platforms. The next one is documentation. So I've mentioned this a few times. This is all anywhere from getting started documentation about how to set up ArcGIS Pro or using ArcGIS Online or your field map applications. All of these things can be available within documentation. And for each different platform or product, there's a whole list of documentation available to you. So you can be ensured that you're going to have easy access, you're going to have that support alongside with you when you're getting things set up. And it's a really good first place to take a look if you've got any questions about the software you're using, because more than likely that question's probably been answered before. And with that, we also have the community blog. So some people, I haven't put that one on there, but I can send the link. So community blogs are public people can hop on, or non-public groups can ask a question that gets sent out to the entire ArcGIS community, whoever's registered to it. And it's a really good place to have discussions about maybe certain workflows you're trying, to see if someone else has done the same thing and had much success, or anywhere from this isn't working, can you help me? So it's also sometimes another support route for some people. But the other one is the Esri non-profit site. Please bear in mind this is US focused. It's not specific to New Zealand, but it does still have a lot of helpful information that's still quite relevant to non-profit customers based here. But all of the links have been added in, so if you want to take a look, they'll all be available, or we can send them to you separately if you haven't quite had enough time to see them. Don't know if you want to add something there, Roland.
In that resources thing, the other thing is go and check out the Eagle YouTube channel. We have a lot of information available, like these webinars, which will be posted later on, and the Esri YouTube channel. There's a lot of discussion around particular topics. So, as you said, the non-profit program, the US-based Esri website one, gives a good indication of the types of organisation, and especially around industries in that within the non-profit program, and access to some of the types of software and packages that are available. But by all means, go there, have a look if you're just getting started. And if you're not sure about things, flick me an email.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Roland. So we also have a few upcoming training courses or training courses available that I thought might be useful to some of you. So as Roland mentioned, there is a discount included for instructor-led courses, and we do have an up-and-coming one that is very relevant to anyone who's just thinking about introducing ArcGIS into their organization or is wanting to just start picking up some basic skills. So that's our introduction to GIS using ArcGIS course. This is being held next month from the 4th to the 5th of April, and it is held in Auckland. This is an in-person instructor-led course, but in general, we also have a mix of hybrid and virtual training courses that are often available, but the best place to take a look is that link down the bottom at the eagle/learn. I've also linked in a similar style course, which is the GIS Basics web course available through that web learning. And this is accessible once you've been set up with nonprofit licensing. There's no additional cost to access it. But those are just two I thought I'd bring your attention to. If you're just wanting to get started, these are really good places to take a look to begin with.
And please go and check out the website there and the training available from Eagle. And Jess is right, there's so much available, whether that's a hybrid of online and in-person, because we have non-profit organisations on Rakiura to Stewart Island who just can't jump up and head to a course in Auckland. I know they'd love to. So there are options available regardless of where you are in New Zealand.
Yep, definitely. So we do have some more webinars coming up, but you'll notice there's quite a big jump, and this is the reasoning is due to we have the New Zealand Regional User Conferences, or there's a few regional conferences coming up that we want to all dedicate everyone's focus towards and not take away from that with our webinar series. So we are on pause, I think, after today until now, the 2nd of May, where we have our first one, which is our ArcGIS distributed collaboration one, which would be pretty good. Then have one on the 16th of May, which is ArcGIS Online Security. So this is really good if you wanted to delve into the more security policies, if you're already an existing customer and have a site all set up, or maybe you've just got questions before you jump on board that you're interested in looking at security protocol and policies. We then have another one in the 6th of June, which is making open data and the Living Atlas work for you, all about accessing that openly available data through our Living Atlas sites. There is more webinars to come, but these are just the upcoming ones for the next few months. If you want to find out more of what's happening later on, that same link at the bottom will take you to where you need to be. And there's a big long list of all the upcoming webinar series.
With that in mind, if you think there's something there that you or you think there's something missing, by all means, contact us, email us and say, hey, we'd like to see a webinar around this particular product or this particular service.
Yep, definitely. So we've made it to our Q&A section. If you've got any questions, feel free to pass them through now. If you're a little bit nervous, no question's a silly question. We are open to answer anything and everything at the moment. We've got some time set aside, so it's probably the best time to be able to access the easy resources to have a chat to. But I do see a question here, Roland, about multi-year license purchasing. Is that something that's possible, or does it have to be year by year?
That's a really, really good question. And I'm super excited about that question because only late last year, we now have the ability to purchase and order, or you have the ability to purchase, we have the ability to order multi-year licensing. So with the example being, we had and it was a conservation-centric project that got funding for 3 years, and they needed to have access to ArcGIS Online and to Servo 123 and to Quick Capture. But they wanted to make sure that their license could be bought to cover the entire length of their project. So Esri is now allowing us to order multi-year licensing. Bit of a caveat, that is the slower, older process, so we'll need to establish you as a customer. Multi-year licensing is not available through our store as of yet. It is in discussion with the powers that be and with Esri around whether or not we'll make multi-year licensing available through the store. But yeah, great question, because I'm super excited about it, and that project was very happy because their funding came in and they've secured 3 years worth of licensing to match the length of their project.
Awesome. And I see another one that people are just wanting to make sure you are the person, Roland, to harass with these questions.
By all means, if you don't want to post your question here, and I'm going to jump ahead on the slide, and just so that while we're having questions, my email's there. By all means, if you've got questions, don't think of it as harassment. Just think of it as ask me a question, drop me a line if you want to have a conversation specifically around non-profit licensing. And then if it's outside my skill set, I'll probably pass it on to you, Jess.
Yeah, and if you forget to email Roland directly, I can definitely pass you back to him as well, if it's outside my skill set. But I'm speaking for Roland a little bit here, but we're both happy to help with any questions. So again, if you're not too confident asking those questions here, please just fire them over to us. Or if you've felt a little bit braver as we've talked for a little bit longer, still feel free to pop some questions in there as we've still got a little bit more time left.
And especially if you want to discuss pricing, we've talked about the level of discounts, and it can be up to 75% discount from a standard commercial product. And that includes things like an ArcGIS online creator license. That can be like 50% off. But I'm not going to discuss the dollar value. Drop me a line if you're interested in what the dollar value is around some of those products. And we can offer some amazing discounts at the grace of Esri through the non-profit program.
And if anyone's interested in those training courses or that instructor-led one I mentioned before, you could probably contact myself or Roland and we can give you some more information. Roland might be the best first call, I think, for that one. Or both of us. You can CC me in as well.
Yep. By all means, just send them through about training. There is a real push, and we want to see the growth and capacity and capability around ArcGIS in New Zealand. So, and especially in our non-profit program, who usually are organisations that don't have a lot of funding at their disposal. So we're here to support you. By all means, just reach out.
Awesome. It doesn't look like we've had any more questions come through. So
I'm super stoked about that multi-year question though, because we've only used it once, but I'm excited about the ability that we have now to support longer term projects, and if it's project-based work.
Yeah, it's definitely some cool ability that we'll be able to have with that multi-year rather than singular.
Other than that, just a reminder that all the licensing agreements are an annual subscription, especially around, and most of the non-profit programs are annual subscriptions, even enterprise agreements. Sometimes enterprise agreements a 3-term signing, but the non-profit program, we are allowed to do a single year enterprise licensing agreement.
Cool. Thank you for that, Roland. Did you have anything to add on there before we maybe wrap this one up?
No, I was hoping we have more questions. Even though the one question we've got come in is my favourite question so far. But if anybody's still got questions, we're happy to sit here for a couple more minutes and answer questions if you have them. Or if you're too shy here, as Jess said, drop me a line or drop Jess a line straight after this. Jess, where will this webinar be available and when will it be available?
I think within the next couple of weeks so for everyone on where this has been recorded, so this is for anyone who wants to go back and watch everything, you can do that. That's all available for you to access, and it will get posted to the YouTube page that Roland mentioned. And I think you might get a link as well with your registration. So this all gets posted to YouTube and it should be up in the next couple of weeks, but you should get a notification with that as well. If you're looking on the site in a few weeks and you don't see it, again, feel free to reach out to us and I can let you know if it's maybe not quite made it to YouTube yet, or I can send you a link for it if you can't find it directly.
Yep, and the other place is keep an eye on the Eagle Technology page on LinkedIn, because there'll be a notification once the webinar's available that we've posted it to YouTube.
Yeah, we also have the Facebook page as well, which the same thing. You'll see those same webinar notifications get popped up.
I was hoping that we'd have one more question come through, but it looks like we haven't. Feel free to email us. And other than that, we've raced through it. Please review the video once it's available.
Yeah, thank you all for attending. We really appreciate you coming along and having a listen to Roland and I today.
It's been great. And other than that, we'll say bye for now. Take care.
Have a good day, everyone. Oh, Aravind, is that a question or clapping?
That was clapping. I saw a couple of claps.
Awesome. Have a good rest of your day, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Stop that recording.
Cool. Sure, we went through that